Leicester City are a disgrace. A complete and utter embarrassment. They have just become the first team in Football League history to lose 8 games in a row without scoring a goal. I would imagine that receiving a Leicester City season ticket nowadays is a bit like being given extra homework at school. Lads, in this video, I'm gonna tell you the story of how Leicester City have bottled being a big club. 15 defeats in 16 Premier League games is barbaric. It is sickeningly awful. It's a disgrace. Pure and simple. Leicester being so bad that not only can I not believe they're not bottom of the league, but they're as many as 7 points clear of 20th. Am I the only one who can't actually believe they've got as many as 17 points on the board? Where do they come from? They are one of the worst Premier League outfits I have ever seen. I actually think they are worse than Southampton, which will be proved when the Saints rock up here and win this month. Lads, they've only got 2 points less than the Portsmouth team of 2010, who won 4-0 twice in a week, beat Liverpool, and reached an FA Cup final where they were given a penalty to go 1-0 up against Chelsea. Yeah, it is outrageous that this horrible Leicester side are apparently only 2 points worse than that semi-competent pumpy team under Avram Grant. I'm telling you, Leicester City are a million miles the worst ever Premier League team not to finish bottom. They're going to wind up 19th in the league. No 19th place team in Premier League history comes close to being as bad as this. Ruud van Nistelrooy is a pony coach. And I'm not just saying that because he looks like Shrek's mate. To think this man was actually in strong contention to be the interim boss for Manchester United until the end of the season, since Amorim wanted to stay in Portugal until the summer. I mean, to be fair, Ruud and Amorim played this same weird formation with 2 number 10s behind a striker, so I guess at least they'd have been on the same page. But no, sorry. Amorim is a charming, charismatic leader who looks like he's got a clue on what he's doing. Van Nistelrooy looks like somebody whose coaching credentials came free in a packet of crisps. I mean, I'm sure if we searched through his flat, we'd find a coaching for dummies book under his bed. I can absolutely see Ruud van Nistelrooy falling out with players and losing the dressing room with ease. Christ above, he proved that as a player he has no tact. Like back in 2006, when they were Manchester United teammates, he was jealous of Ronaldo's relationship with the assistant coach Carlos Queiroz, and so after a scuffle in training, Ruud said,
"Go and cry to your daddy."
Don't say that to someone whose dad literally died the year before. Like, are you for real? It's like your mate being crushed by his childhood dog passing away. And so, the very next day, you ask him to come round and watch Marley and Me. There is no recovering from this awful managerial spell. No, I'm sorry. Sure, Ruud did okay at PSV, but look at some of the other coaches being publicly embarrassed in the Premier League. Frank de Boer was the original Ten Hag, an Ajax winning machine. Yeah, 5 Crystal Palace matches later, and he had to crawl to the MLS. Remy Gard did well at Lyon, but he, like Ruud, made a relegation battle even worse at Aston Villa, and his next job was the MLS. Steve Keane was a Blackburn misfit egg. Like Van Nistelrooy, he was also responsible for relegating a former Premier League champion. His future was Singapore, Brunei, Australia, and Georgia. Sorry, Ruud, but your career is over before it's even begun. I mean, we want to talk about this man's ambitions and focus. This is what he said in November. "I'd rather help Manchester United than manage elsewhere." That sort of stunk of Frank Lampard in 2016, telling Tubes he only wants to manage Chelsea. It's why I don't think his heart was ever in the Everton gig. Derby County was his warm-up for Chelsea. But once that dream ended, he probably had the motivation of an onion, which made him do weird, strange things. Christ above, he signed Dele Alli. It's now that he's finally moved on from Chelsea that he can finally concentrate and do good work at Coventry. Well, lads, Van Nistelrooy had to quickly shift his focus to Leicester 2 weeks after Amorim burst his Old Trafford dream. I mean, at his first Leicester press conference, he was telling everyone, "It hurt that I had to leave." He also said that he was astonished so many clubs were interested in him. Wow, these are not good signs. He was openly telling the world that he was a coaching chicken nugget. Even he didn't know what all the fuss was about. I mean, lads, this guy has got an absolutely awful squad filled with nothing players. To such an extent, the club were desperately flinging a 15-year-old onto the pitch last night. Somebody who was literally born in July 2009. He wasn't even alive for Ronaldo's first spell at Manchester United. His first memories of Messi are probably bamboozling Boateng in 2015. I watched that down the pub. I vividly remember what I was doing the summer he was born. I got a feeling it was on the radio when he was born. He was less than a year old when the last finale aired. His childhood film won't have been Toy Story or Lion King. Oh no. Nah, it'll have been Frankenweenie or Wreck-It Ralph. I cannot possibly relate to how young this child is. And yet here he is getting chucked into the most miserable dressing room in the world. Imagine telling Vardy when he joined Leicester for £1 million in 2012 that he would one day be sharing a Premier League pitch with what was then a 2-year-old toddler who keeps chewing Bobby dolls. That is wild, but no, it actually feels unfair to throw this wide-eyed, talented youngster into such a toxic dressing room, asking him to make his debut in front of a bunch of disgruntled board supporters, who I guarantee you spent the first half of the match last night questioning why they were paying, yes, paying money to experience this. The club have not scored a goal at home since December the 8th, and you're handing over money for this experience. That is 12 hours of sitting through home games without seeing a goal. 12 hours? So you're telling me, after Bobby De Cordova's last gas strike against Brighton 3 weeks before Christmas, that a Leicester fan could have then brought his iPad to every home match since, and instead of watching the football played out on the pitch, oh, he could have binge-watched the first 5 Harry Potter films, at least, before he'd see another goal? Honestly, since Leicester last scored a goal at home, Ron Weasley has grown hair on his chest, but despite having a terrible squad, Van Nistelrooy has chosen to banish Harry Winks because he refuses to sleep at the training ground. Seriously, this is a 29-year-old midfielder who's got 10 England caps. He has started a Champions League final. He's been given a fat seal of approval from past and future Chelsea managers like Pochettino, Mourinho and Maresca. He's also played Serie A football. Christ above. Just 2 years ago, he was playing DM for Sampdoria, carving out a 0-0 draw with Inter Milan. This is someone who turned into a mini Beckham when he scored a Europa League goal from 50 yards. This isn't just some completely greasy potato with the ability of cheese. No. And yet Van Nistelrooy has kicked him out of his squad because he's sick of him commuting from London and has told him he must spend at least one night at the training ground. I'm pretty sure Winks has just had a kid. So instead of supporting his child every night, oh, you want him to, what? Unroll the sofa bed in the gym? Have a sleepover on his own? I can't think of anything sadder than Winks trapped at night, alone in the Leicester training ground, sadly chucking pennies into the vending machine for a Kit Kat at 2 a.m. But lads, Leicester are embarrassing. Finishing bottom is embarrassing, but the teams who finish second bottom, they usually have patches of great form and big results where they restore some pride inside the last 20 years. Okay, Norwich in 2005, they beat Fergie's Manchester United and they won their final 4 home games. Charlton in 2007 kept 5 clean sheets in 6 games. Birmingham in 2008 slapped 7 goals past Spurs the year they won a cup. Middlesbrough in 2009 beat Spurs, Man City and Liverpool. Blackpool in 2011 did the double over Liverpool. Blackburn of 2012 beat Wenger's Arsenal and Fergie's Man United. Reading in 2013 had 2 different runs of 1 defeat in 7 matches. Burnley in 2015 beat Man City. Stoke of 2018 beat Arsenal. Fulham of 2019 won 3 games on the bounce. Watford of 2020 went 7 unbeaten, beat Man United, and ended Liverpool's invincible run. West Brom of 2021 scored 5 at Chelsea a month before they won the Champions League. Watford of 2022 scored 5 at Everton and scored 4 past a team with Ronaldo on the pitch. Leeds of 2023 obliterated Tuchel's Chelsea. Even Burnley last season produced a 5-0 win. What exactly have Leicester City given their fans? What rare highlight have they given them? What, beating Spurs away? What, a Spurs team on course to finish 14th? Really? No, this club's most impressive win of the season is beating Bournemouth at home. Now imagine telling that to a Leicester fan back in 2016 when they won the league, that in less than 9 years, their biggest achievement of a Premier League season, something to whack on the front of the DVD box, is a 1-0 win over the Cherries, a team who back then were very nearly getting relegated. It's a disgrace. All those second bottom teams I just named, they gave their fans some brilliant memories, famous wins, great runs of form, but this Leicester team, it is so awful. Look, Steve Cooper kept this side semi-competitive, but now you ditched him. I don't care if his face does look like a squash croissant. He was doing a far better job than what Ruud has done. Poor old Cooper. He really does look like if someone tried to put Prince Harry's face in a birthday cake and then just accidentally left it to melt in the sun. Cooper was done dirty. Twice of hours before he was given his sack, his Leicester players were partying in Copenhagen with a sign saying, "Enzo, I miss you." That's pathetic. I'm sorry, but they literally just lost to Chelsea the day before, and here they were 24 hours later publicly pining for the opposition's coach. It's ridiculously disrespectful when Cooper was still in a job with the media pressure mounting on his shoulders. I mean, lads, you want to talk about downgrades? Newcastle United went from the brilliance of a European champion like Rafa Benitez to Steve Bruce overnight. Someone whose biggest accomplishment was probably eating 5 pancakes without having to burp. But I don't remember any Newcastle players publicly pining for Rafa to come back. I mean, they called the Leicester players snakes when Ranieri was sacked in 2017. It's 7 years later, and I think this bunch are worse. And look who the ringleader was in 2017. Look who the captain is now. I mean, this is someone whose wife went to court because everyone thought she was a snake. I'm just saying, are we totally sure that Jamie Vardy doesn't also have the morals of Ron Weasley's rat? Lads, this is the worst ever team I can remember, less than 10 years out from winning the league title. In any league. Yeah, Even worse than Thierry Henry's Monaco. Sorry, but no other champion has had a bigger fall off in 10 years since winning the league than Leicester. And this is why. December the 8th, 2024. The last time Leicester scored a home goal. Sure. Well, let me take you back to December the 8th, 2019. Leicester had just scored 4 at Villa Park to record their 8th league win in a row. One of them having been a 9-0 victory on the road. Vardy had just got his 13th goal in 10 matches, and they were sitting second in the league, behind a ridiculous Liverpool. But this, under Brendan Rodgers, was officially title-winning form. 38 points from 16 games in 15 of the previous 27 Premier League seasons. That would have been enough to be top of Christmas. I mean, forget about Red Erie's champions. I fully believe in the autumn of 2019, Brendan Rodgers had built the greatest ever Leicester side. The fact they didn't squeak Champions League football after that mega start, that was crazy. The following season was an even bigger bottle job. They were top of the league in January 2021. But same story, they crumble under the pressure and once again get pipped to fourth by Chelsea. This time by just a point. It's crazy. Let's be real, ever since Leicester went big time and won the Premier League, they have been reckless with their cash. But there's been so many huge, mega expensive duds. Slimani, Ahmed Musa, Napoli's Mendy, Kalichi Iheanacho, Adrian Silva, Vicente Abora, Calgary Siyunku, Filip Benkovic, Danny Ward, Rashid Ghazal, Ayote Paris, Timothy Castagna, Patson Daka, Bubakari Samar, Yannick Vestergaard, Harry Sutar, Wout Faes, Victor Christensen, Oliver Skip, Caleb Akoli. That is a big fat dustbin of completely substandard muck. Guess what? This club paid £350 million in transfer fees for this huge bunch of rubbish. Sorry, say that again? I feel like spluttering out a cup of tea. Yes, 350 million. That is James Bond supervillain sort of money. And yet this was spent on hideously dreadful footballers. Whilst having an actual supreme talent like Ademola Lookman on loan from RB Leipzig, and you didn't bother to keep him. Yeah, well done. He since scored a hat-trick at a European final, finished 14th at the Ballon d'Or, and been voted African Footballer of the Year. Something Drogba and Salah only won twice. But oh no, you thought his £15 million price tag was too much dough. You can't make it up. It's lunacy. Because look at the stupid wages you've agreed to pay. Apparently they're paying all of Odsonne Edouard's £90,000 a week, and he doesn't even make matchday squads. I mean, Kasper Schmeichel has recently said that he regrets leaving Leicester. No. Do not regret skipping this chapter. He didn't want to be around long enough to have this. He left at the perfect time, bowing out in 2022 after helping the club finish 8th. It's mad. In his last 7 years at the club, Leicester City only finished outside the top half once. In 2017, but who cares, because that was also the year they were just 2 goals away from a Champions League semi-final. Schmeichel never tasted relegation in his 11 years at the club. That was the perfect Leicester era. Vardy, he's now experienced more relegations than title wins. He should have walked away in 2022 as well. This is like when Brian Clough stuck around at Nottingham Forest long enough to get them relegated from the Prem. Vardy might have turned down Arsenal in his 20s, but oh no. Back in 2022, he was 35 years old, and apparently on Eric Ten Hag's shopping list, both he and Marko Arnautovic were seen as the solutions to the Ronaldo mess. After that 4-0 embarrassment at Brentford, he should have gone. Forced to remove to Old Trafford. Wrap a nice little bow on your Leicester career and just go and be a Cavani. Since then, he scored 10 Premier League goals and been relegated twice, choosing to sign that extension at Leicester in 2022. A week after Man United were sniffing around it. Horrible choice because he's now been part of something horrific. I mean lads, back in 2019, during that title-winning form under Rodgers, they were apparently weighing up a £50 million move for Hull City star Jared Bowen. They decided he was too expensive and signed no one instead. Oh, can you imagine a young Bowen and peak Vardy in the same attack? A few months later, the club were sniffing around Lille's Victor Osimhen, but they backed out of that one too. By the Christmas of 2020, they were considering an £8 million move for some skinny kid at Reading, Michael Olise. They said no. Half a decade later, he's playing for Bayern Munich and France. The club were sniffing around William Saliba in 2022, then Cole Palmer in 2023, but both times they were too scared to make a move. Leicester have bottled trying to be a big club. They have been too scared of taking the next step to try and become a truly elite club. That's been mirrored by their captain Vardy rejecting the chance to go to Arsenal or Manchester United, or when he gave up on his England career and decided he was too cool for World Cups. It gets worse. The favourite right now for the Leicester job is Russell Martin, the man who just created what is now seen as the worst Premier League team of all time. This man has sculpted the only team officially worse than Leicester right now, even though I do believe Southampton are secretly a better team. Can you imagine if Ruud is sacked now and Martin finishes this season as a Premier League boss?
I'm back!
It would be so crazy I might just bleed from the nose. How do you go from Brendan Rodgers to this? This is someone who was thrown out of the Prem after being 5-0 down at half-time before Christmas. Not to Man City, not to Liverpool, oh no, to a very average Spurs. Martin is somebody who, on his last trip to Leicester's ground, lost 5-0. Like, what is the appeal? Lads, I'm going to leave you with a haunting clip of me on the kickoff from 2 years ago, when this club suddenly decided they were too good for the guy who won them an FA Cup and who once had them second at Christmas and top in January.
Brendan Rodgers, right? The guys just left Leicester by mutual consent. They're in the bottom 3. What are we saying?
I think it's actual disgrace.
Really?
Yeah.
Disgrace?
Yes, Brendan Rodgers is so above the level of a Leicester City. I don't care where they are on the table. This
It does matter.
Nah, but he finished 5th with Leicester twice. He won them an FA Cup and a Community Shield. He's a quality manager. And the thing is, when things like this happen, I always look at who can you get that's better. Leicester will not get a better manager. All right? What they need to do is back Rodgers.
Yep, that's it. Leicester in the Premier League are now done. They're not bouncing back from this. They're off to scuttle into the abyss for a while. I'm going to tell you this. I think Leicester are going to be seen in League One before we next see them in the Premier League. It truly is a story of how Leicester City have bottled being a big club. Anyway, that's the interview. Let me know. What do you think? Am I too harsh? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you in a while.